Hi, I'm Ron Burgundy, reporting on the 2012 election. Today I think we have a great program lined up for you, which will really inform you on this year's election. First up on today's post-election coverage, we are discussing the presidential returns with 11 Action News Chief Political Analyst Bob Marley. How are you today, Bob?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Great to have you with us. So, Bob, how did the country vote this year? Which states made the difference in this year's election?
Well, as you already know, our president will again be President Barack Obama. The incumbent won with a total of 332 electoral votes and the majority vote in 27 of the 50 states. He beat out his opponent, Mitt Romney, who only had 206 electoral votes and the majority vote in 23 of the 50 states. President Obama...
Before you go on, Bob, for our viewers out there who don't understand the Electoral College, could you explain what that is?
Yeah, sure, no problem, Bob. No problem. Electoral votes are given out by our country's Electoral College. The Electoral College process is more important than our country's popular vote, as it is the Electoral College that officially decides who our next president and vice president will be. There are 538 total electoral votes in the entire United States, and they're split up between all 50 of the states. Each state is given a certain amount based upon their population. So in a state such as Michigan, they will get 2 because they have 2 senators. And they will also get a number of electoral votes based on how many state representatives they have in the House of Representatives.
Oh, so they're added together.
They're added together.
I see. So how are the state's electoral votes divided between the candidates?
Well, it's all or nothing. In each state, the electoral votes will either go to one candidate or the other. You can't split them up or 50-50 or any other way. In each state, they have the popular vote, and whichever candidate wins the majority of the popular vote in each state, they will get the entirety of that state's electoral votes.
All right, thanks for clearing that up with our viewers. But back to what we were talking about before, Bob, about the presidential returns.
Right. So in some elections, and especially in this year's presidential election, the election will come right down to the wire. Beforehand, many people, including ourselves, are trying to predict the race, and it always comes down to a couple of key states that no one's really sure which way they're going to vote. These states are what we call in the business battleground states. These states are very important for both candidates, as they don't know which way they're going to vote, and so they spend most of their money and time campaigning.
Oh, and if I'm correct, these battleground states were Ohio, New Hampshire. Is that correct?
Those are 2 of them. In each election, it depends on how close it's going to be, but there are usually quite a few battleground states. And this year, Ohio, New Hampshire were 2 of them, along with Colorado, Wisconsin, Nevada, Florida, with all but North Carolina going to Obama.
All right. Well, now we are going to view a few quick clips of what some of our voters had to say on the presidential issues.
What do you feel is the most important issue in this election?
Taxes and the deficit.
I would definitely have to say taxes and deficit.
The federal debt is definitely the biggest issue. Definitely the economy.
And we're back. What were your thoughts on this, Bob?
Well, those seem to have been the theme of this year's presidential election. In the exit polls conducted throughout the entire country, 60% of battleground state voters said that the economy was the most important issue to them. 59% said that making abortion legal was most important to them. The percentages are a little bit skewed because on the exit polls, some people mark more than one thing, so that percentages won't add up exactly. But those are what our battleground states voters thought about.
I see. And how does that compare with Michigan's data, Bob?
Well, the results are a little bit different. In Michigan, the data was a little bit more varied, and the percentages weren't as high. 39% of Michigan voters said that the economy was the biggest issue. So, like the battleground state voters, the economy was the biggest issue in this year's election.
That's interesting, Bob. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We'll be seeing you in a few minutes. Oh!
Well, we are having some difficulties here at the studio. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back after these messages. Has this ever happened to you? Your toy boat just won't move, and you can't afford an expensive battery-powered one. Well, now you can have your cake and eat it too. Introducing the solar-powered toy boat by Rawwind Incorporated.
It doesn't require batteries and moves relatively fast with a top speed of 6 inches per second and a cost-to-speed ratio of 2.4. Just expose the solar cell to light and watch it go. You'll have tons of fun with the solar-powered toy boat. You can get your solar-powered toy boat now for only $14.99. Here's how to order. If you want to float, buy a toy solar boat. Welcome back. We would like to apologize for that untimely mishap that just happened. Luckily, before Bob Marley's untimely departure from us, he wrote a statement explaining the Michigan proposals, and that is what I'm going to read for you now. Now let's discuss the 6 proposals in Michigan. These proposals did not pass, but were fairly interesting. Proposal 1 would allow the governor to appoint a financial advisor to bankrupt cities and school districts who will be able to solve the district's financial problems by suspending union contracts. Proposal 2 was proposed to establish the right to collective bargaining. Proposal 3 was meant to mandate all electric companies to provide at least 25% of yearly sales to be from renewable energy sources. Proposal 4 was to amend the state constitution to establish the Michigan Quality Home Care Council and provide collective bargaining for in-home care workers. Proposal 5 is a proposal to impose new state taxes, expand the base state tax, or increase the rate of state tax. And for our final initiative, Proposal 6 would have expended state funds or resources for acquiring land, designing, soliciting bids for financing, construction, and the promotion of new international tunnels and bridges. As I said before, none of these proposals passed. Now we are taking a phone call from Thomas Smith, a 11 Action News statistician. Today he wants to discuss some statistics he believes need to be taken into consideration for this election. Hi Tom, glad you could make time for us today.
No problem at all, Ron. It's my pleasure.
So Tom, what are some of the views of your views on this election?
Well, Ron, I believe both candidates are very eligible. Mitt Romney promises immigration reform on his first day in office. Barack Obama finds this topic to be just as important. Obama believes the immigration system is broken and is in need of desperate reform. Both candidates agree that our borders need to be tighter and illegal immigrants should not be allowed to reside in our country at any cost.
Fascinating. What are the candidates' views on health care reform?
Barack Obama believes that health care reform is much needed, but feels that Obamacare is the way to succeed this. He seems to be very confident about Obamacare, but an article by the New York Times claims that the health issue in America is far beyond Obamacare and is near impossible to fix at this point. Mitt Romney does not claim to have the best plan for this topic, but plans to immediately dismantle Obamacare as he does not feel it is the right solution for the health care issue in the U.S.
Wow, I was not aware that so many people felt Obamacare was ineligible. How do the candidates feel about national security?
Both candidates take national security seriously. However, Obama plans to reduce spending on the armed forces, and Romney wants to increase the spending on the armed forces.
Oh, really? That's intriguing. What are the outlooks on jobs and the economy?
Well, Ron, Obama feels the way to stimulate the economy is to provide easy access to money to zero-rate interest, whereas Romney feels the best way to stimulate the economy is to reduce taxes on small businesses.
Both of those approaches seem to be quite different, Tom. What are the candidates' thoughts on deficits and taxes?
Obama seems to feel that if we increase taxes on the rich, that it would be sufficient to help reduce the national deficit without cutting entitlements. Romney, on the other hand, feels that maintaining current tax levels and reducing entitlements is the best way to go.
So how does the population as a whole feel about these issues, Tom?
This graph shows the results of the polls taken that show what issues have been ranked most important to least important to the male and female voters. Economy has been ranked the highest, followed by health care, deficits and debt, taxes, terrorism, and foreign policy.
Wow, I find that very surprising. I would have expected healthcare to be the highest.
Me too, Ron. I also believe that if foreign policy was taken more seriously, the economy would be in much better shape.
That is a very good point, Tom. But how does the National Exit Survey data compare to the local survey data?
The national survey data is slightly different than the local. It shows the male and female voters individually for each candidate. It shows that more women voted for Obama than for Romney.
Wow, it sounds like Obama is quite a ladies' man, Tom.
Indeed he is, Ron. Indeed he is.
Thanks so much for coming, Tom. We'll see you very soon. Now, to some other news. Joining us in the studio, we are taking a call from Frank Tinkerson, CNN's head political analyst. Thanks for calling in, Frank. It's great to have you with us.
Well, it's great to be with you, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Today we wanted to talk to you about the 2012 presidential election issues. According to CNN, 70.7% of Americans voted for Barack Obama, while only 47.6% of Americans voted for Mitt Romney. We would like to see which issues affected people's votes. First off, let's discuss immigration reform. What are both President Obama's views and Governor Romney's views on this subject?
Well, Ron, President Obama believes that illegal immigrants should be allowed in the U.S. as long as they are under the age of 30, have received a high school diploma, and or served in the military. Governor Romney also believes that illegal immigrants should be allowed in the U.S. if they served in the military. However, he believes that borders should be tightened and greater restrictions should be implemented.
Well, interesting, Frank. Now let's discuss healthcare. Could you tell us the candidates' opposing stances on this issue?
I'd be happy to, Ron. President Obama is a strong advocate for the Affordable Health Care Act, or Obamacare. He believes that this is the best course of action for our nation and intends to keep it this way. On the other hand, Governor Romney believes that we should repeal Obamacare and replace it with a better alternative.
Great synopsis, Frank. Now let's turn our attention to national security. Can you inform us of the two candidates' positions on this issue?
Sure, Ron. Governor Romney believes that we should withdraw troops from the Middle East and crack down on terrorist cells while simultaneously increasing military funding. President Obama also believes that we should crack down on radicalist Islamic groups as well as setting up a timetable for withdrawing troops from the Middle East. However, he plans to withdraw funds from the armed forces.
Great, Frank. Would you mind explaining to the audience the opposing views of the candidates on the issues of jobs and the economy as well as taxes?
Of course. This was a key issue for many people in this election. Governor Romney believes that the tax rate should be cut to facilitate job growth and balance the budget. He plans to reduce tax breaks and encourage small businesses in order to build a stronger workforce. On the other hand, Mr. Obama plans on increasing taxes while sustaining government spending in an attempt to raise revenue and increase job growth. Obama's plan is designed to support the middle class in America.
Well, it's been great having you with us, Frank. Thanks for joining us. Well, that's all we have for you on today's post-election coverage. I'm Ron Burgundy, 11 Action News. Good night.